Hello, my name is LaTanya Williams, and I'm the Associate Director for STEM in the Office of Fellowships. And in this PowerPoint presentation, I'm going to go over how to navigate the F31 NIH application process. So a little bit of background about the National Institutes of Health. NIH is the largest biomedical research agency in the world. The headquarters are in Bethesda, Maryland, and they support many types of research, including basic, translational, and clinical research. So, where to begin? A great place to learn more about the grant process, if you're not familiar with NIH, is on this particular website, grants.nih.gov. And I will be referring back to this website as I go through the presentation, because there's a lot of information that can help you as you begin to prepare to write your F31. On this website, there's a good overview video to learn a little more about NIH, the different participating organizations, and just how everything works. And this is a screenshot of that video. So in this little movie, I'm going to show you how to find that video as you begin. So here you want to start at the grants.nih.gov. And this is a website I really recommend that you kind of read through just to become a little more familiar with what is included in this website, because there's a lot of information here. So if you go to About Grants, scroll down a little bit, there's some information on this page that you might also be interested in reading, but you click on the grants process overview, and it gives you this little cartoon that outlines all of the steps that are involved when you have to submit and prepare a grant to NIH. So if you click on Get Started, you will find the video that I was talking about, Learn the Basics. So it's not too long, and it will just help you to become familiar with the agency itself. There's also more helpful information on this page. So once you've watched this video, you should know a little more about NIH and how it works and how it's constructed. So what type of grant should you apply for as a grad student? To find information about the different types of grants that are offered through NIH, you want to go to this page, researchtraining.nih.gov. So this will be the second page that you'll be spending a lot of time on as you prepare your F31 application. And this is a screenshot of the home page. And as you can see, they have the cartoon at the bottom that outlines the different phases that researchers go through, starting with the undergraduate career and going to the more experienced investigator. And this is a screenshot of the type of grant that you will be applying for through NIH, the F31 NRSA Award. So this chart just outlines the different types of F-series grants, and they have the F05, the F30, which is for those individuals that are getting a joint MD PhD, and the F31 award, which is for students who are working towards a PhD alone. In looking into the future, if you plan to remain in academia, you might want to look at these two awards, the F32, which will help you in your postdoc training, and the F99 that's used in conjunction with the K00 award to help you once you're nearing the end of your pre-doctoral training to transition into your postdoc training. So in this particular shot, I will show you how to find that information on the researchtraining.nih.gov website. And like I said, this is another website that you want to spend a little time on and just, learning about what's here. So you go to programs, and I'm going to start first with what I usually see on many students' CV, which is the institutional training grants. So these are grants that really belong to the institution, and professors apply to them, and a lot of students are receiving training opportunities under these training grants. But this is not your individual fellowship. For that, you want to go to fellowships and you want to apply to the F-Series awards because these are the individual fellowships. So on this page is all of the information that I showed you in the previous chart. So the different types of F-Series awards. So if you click, I'm at the F31. If you click on the title, it will take you to the screenshot that you saw previously, the two different types of F31, the traditional award and then a parent F31 for diversity. So I believe now I'm going to go back, and if you click on the view current funding opportunities, it has actually 4 different types of F31. So you might want to take a look there to see if any of those fit your research interests as well. So if you click on the F31, it would take you to the funding opportunity announcement. And that's a document you really want to make sure you read. And I will be touching upon that document in later slides. So if you click on details, this will take you back to the screen that we already saw that describes the F31. And one thing to pay attention to is the square to the right, because here you can also find links to the funding opportunity announcement for the F31s. So the due dates. The due dates for the F-Series fellowships are April 8th, August 8th, and December 8th. And although these dates have not changed for some time, you might want to know where to locate the due dates in the NIH website, just to double check. So that's what I'm going to show you in this video. So we're back to the grants.nih.gov website here. We're going to click on About Grants. And next, we are going to go to How to Apply. And once we click there, we have 3 selections: Prepare to Apply, Write an Application, and Submit. So you want to go to Submit, click on Standard Due Dates. And as you scroll down, you should see the due dates for all of the different types of funding mechanisms provided by NIH. So you want to scroll down and find your funding mechanism, which is the F-Series fellowships. And there are the due dates: April 8th, August 8th, and December 8th. As I mentioned, although these have remained the same for some time, it doesn't hurt to know where to locate the due dates, just in case there are some changes. Also, as you begin to prepare this F31 grant, you want to make sure that you read the funding opportunity announcement for the F31 in its entirety, because this is where you will find a lot of the information that you need to know about how to submit this grant. And they also provide a little bit of information about the review process as well. Another document you want to read is the SF-424 R&R, which provides the application instructions for the F-Series grants. And I'm going to show you in this video how to get there. So we're on the funding announcement, and you want to scroll down. And here we're at the table of contents. So you want to go to applicant and submission information. And there at number 2, you will find the link to the 424 R&R application guide. So it takes you to About Grants. And here are all of the application instructions. So you want to go to the fellowships instructions, and I selected version G because that was the most recent version. And you find this document. Now, this document is very long and very detailed. There's a lot of information here that you may not need, since remember, these grants are submitted by Northwestern Office of Sponsored Research, so you don't submit directly to NIH. But there is a lot of information here that you will need. including the information about the parts that you're required to write for the fellowship. So you want to scroll through, look at it, and find what you need. And they also provide screenshots, which could be very helpful. So now we've gone through the NIH portion. So there's a portion that Northwestern has to play. So how do you understand the Northwestern portion of the submission process? And a lot of this information is going to be found through the Office of Sponsored Research. So on this website, there is a video called No Tears NRSA. And as I was looking through this website and I found this video, I thought it was very helpful because it explains how you work with the Office of Sponsored Research personnel to get your grant submitted. It also explains the electronic systems that you need to register for to apply for the NRSA F31. It also talks about forms you may need, and it provides information about internal timelines. So how do you find this video? You want to go to the Office of Sponsored Research page, and you want to go to the resources link, which is here. You want to click on job aids, and then you will see the NRSA F31, the NRSA F series fellowships. And the video is in the middle one, the No Tears NRSA, how to successfully prepare and submit the application. So you have to log in using your NetID to view the video, but there is also a transcript that is available to you just in case you don't want to take notes. You can take a look at that. So once you've read and explored these resources, I think it's time to begin writing. And what I'm going to describe in the rest of this presentation is really a loose timeline that you could use. Now, this timeline will vary depending upon where you are in your research, or if you submitted grants previously, but this is just pretty much giving you a rough estimate on how far in advance you should start. So it's recommended that you begin about 6 months before your selected due date. And you also should inform your PI that you plan to apply for an NIH fellowship because they can provide a lot of valuable advice and assistance along the way. So once again, you want to make sure that you've read the funding opportunity announcement before you begin. So sometimes you may have questions about your research, or you just may have questions about this whole process. Maybe you've read everything and you still want a little bit of clarity. So for each NIH participating organization, there are individuals that you can contact about the process. And I'm going to walk you through that. So you want to click on the name of the institute. It's easy to do a search for F31 and find the contact for that participating organization. So what are the participating organizations? So they're all listed here on the funding opportunity. So Eye Institute, Cancer Institute. I'm going to click on Cancer Institute just to show you how this works. So this is the homepage for the National Cancer Institute. So if you put in a search for F31, let's click search. And it is the first hit. So this is going to be the National Cancer Institute's page about the F31 award. And they have a lot of information that can be found on the funding opportunity, but you can also look here as well. So you pretty much pick the funding, the agency that aligns with your research interests. So here, as we scroll through, they have information about due dates and everything here. So as we get to the bottom of the page, we see there are 3 individuals that you can contact. And what they say is that if you need any guidance preparing your application, you can reach out to them. So NIH, they do have those resources, and these individuals could answer some questions for you if you have them. So you also want to read some sample applications just for inspiration and to give you a little bit of guidance about how to present your research for NIH. So I'm going to go over a couple of ways to do that. So one place I found that had some good information about sample applications was at the National Institutes of Allergies and Infectious Diseases, NIAID. So there's their website, niaid.nih.gov. You want to go to grants and contracts, apply for a grant, and sample applications and more. So I have a screenshot here of what that page looks like. So this is the apply for a grant page. They have sample applications and more. You want to scroll down to find the sample application for the award that you're applying to. And we're going to say that it's the F31. And these are the 3 examples that they have listed on their website. NIAID also had more helpful resources to help you to prepare your application. And for example, I've highlighted one here. They have a link about specific aims, which can give you a little guidance on how to prepare your specific aims. So let's go over how to find this. And we're going to start at the funding opportunity announcement here. So here we're going to go to NIAID participating organization, and this is their homepage here. So you want to go to grants and contracts under apply for a grant. We're going to click on sample applications. So now you're at the sample application page, and you might want to read through this. I think this can be applicable no matter what your discipline. It just gives you an idea of how to put this together. So you click on F31, and there are the 3 examples that I showed in the previous slide. So I'm going to click on one of those just to show you a little bit about what's included. And it is actually the full application. Now, these beginning sheets are not going to be sheets that you fill out. This has everything. So forms that are filled out by the individual from Office of Sponsored Research. And as you scroll through it, and I'm going to scroll through it quickly here, table of contents, and it also has the narratives that you have to write as well. And I'm going to get there. So see, there's the project summary. So this is a good, I highly recommend taking a look at one or more of these to just get you started. These are the components of your application. So these are all the different components and the page limits as well. Another great place to get information about how to put this grant together would be your PI. So you should ask your PI for an application that they previously submitted to the NIH. Now, granted, it may be a little different. It may be a little more detailed, a little longer, but it will help you to learn how to present your research topic to the NIH. And it will also demonstrate to you the level of detail that you need to use when explaining your particular project to NIH. So definitely check with your PI. So now we're 3 months, we've done 3 months of writing, revising, and probably doing additional experiments. So your deadline is about 3 months away. So now you want to start to figure out, how do I approach the Northwestern part of the submission process? Where do you start? So since you're not directly submitting the application to NIH, you want to find the individual in the Office of Sponsored Research who will submit this for you. And you're going to be working a lot with that person. So once again, your advisor would be the best person to help you identify the individual in the Office of Sponsored Research who submits grants for your department, because they will have used this individual to help them to submit their grants to NIH. So most, if not all, PIs will know this person. But if you want to find more information about this person on your own, I'm going to walk you through a couple of ways to identify that person. So first, you want to rewatch this No Tears NRSA video that I outlined in the previous slides, because it also talks about individuals in the Office of Sponsored Research. So here, we're going to start at the home page here. So this is a screenshot from the Office of Sponsored Research page, and you don't really need all of this information, but this is just to show you the individuals who work within the office and what they do. So you have associate director, assistant director. So I'm going to go here because these are going to be more of the key individuals that are going to help you. So take a look at the assistant sponsored research officer. So it says this person reviews, offers guidance, and submit sponsored research proposals to sponsors. So this individual could be of assistance to you, or the associate sponsored research officer, or possibly the sponsored research officer. So let's go to the next slide here. So I'm going to show you 2 ways to find individuals in the Office of Sponsored Research. And one thing to remember is that this is based in departments. So you're going to be looking for the Office of Sponsored Research individual in your particular department. So one way is by capsules. So this is new. So you're going to use the Find My Capsule tool to find your department's capsule. And that means to find the individuals who can help you in submitting your your application to NIH. So who you're going to be looking for in this particular system is the assistant SRO, since they have said that this is the person who reviews and submit proposals. But anyone, and you'll see in the next slide, anyone should be able to assist you in identifying who submits the actual proposal to NIH. So we're gonna go with this movie. And so we're on the web page of the Office of Sponsored Research. You go to About Us, and then you're gonna click on Capsules. So now you're gonna go to the Find My Capsule tool, and keep in mind, this is brand new. So here we are, and you want to select your department. So as I said, this process is departmental. So you're gonna scroll down and find your department. And I just used one at random as an example. And I believe that it's neurology in Feinberg. So now I'm scrolling through looking for that particular department. And I'm almost there. There we are, Neurosciences FSM. So I'm gonna click there. And it gives me as my sponsored research official, Mary Rosenthal. So that could be a potential person that I contact if I'm trying to figure out who submits the grants for my department. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a second way that's been around a little bit longer, and that's using the Find My Grants and Contracts Officer link in the Office of Sponsored Research webpage. Okay, so let's try it that way. So you're going to go to About Us, and then you want to click on Contact Us. So here you will find the Find My Capsule link, but we're going to go to Searchable Directory this time to see what we find. And here we're going to click on Find My Grants and Contracts Officer. So once again, this is departmental. So you want to click on department, you want to deselect all, and you want to find your department. So I'm going to use the same department that I used in the capsule search mechanism. So that was neurosciences in the Feinberg School of Medicine. And this one's in alphabetical order. I'm not sure if the capsules one is, so, you know, whichever one you're most comfortable with, or you can ask your PI. So we're almost there. So here we are, Neuroscience FSM. So I'm gonna click. And here are the individuals that we have. So we have Taylor Carl as the sponsored research officer. That's what this search resulted in. So here, what I'm going to show you next in this screen, this is just the contact information for the Office of Sponsored Research. I don't think you'll really need this, but I want to show you here. These are the teams. And this is from their website. So I use the same department and I use the two search mechanisms, and the capsule mechanism gave me Mary Rosenthal's name. And then the Find My Grants officer gave me Carl Taylor as the Associate Sponsor Research Officer. So these could be two individuals that you contact. You send them an email and you try to identify who is the person that submits the grants for that particular department. So once again, consulting with your PI is probably the best way to help you to identify your sponsor research officer. But you can also use those other mechanisms if you're curious or if you run into some problems. And your sponsor research officer will also help you to identify the e-systems you need to register for the submission process, which is all electronic. And it's good to contact them early because for some of these systems, you need to register early, well before your deadline. So they have this nice, they have this nice page on the Office of Sponsor Research, and it's specifically for the F-Series grants. And it outlines the e-systems that you need to register for to submit for the submission for your NRSA application. And it has a little timeline here that begins at 3 weeks, but in other places on their website, they recommend starting at least a month or more earlier in terms of registering for these particular websites. So the first one is ERA Commons. A lot of you may have an ERA Commons account. You want to check on that, or maybe you can work with your sponsor research official who submits your grants to see if they can help you to determine if you already have one. And if you don't, you need to sign up for one. And now, according to the timeline that I'm going on for this presentation, you're about 3 months out. So you need to have an ERA Commons account, because when you're approaching individuals to write your letters of recommendation, you need to have your ERA Commons username to give to those individuals, because this is the information they need to submit your letter directly to NIH. So here's a video to just give you a little more information about letters of recommendation. So here we're at the grants and funding page. So you want to click on About Grants, and we want to go down to Write Application. Click there. And there's a lot of information here about how to write your application. So this is why this grants.nih.gov website is very important to kind of read through, because there's a lot of valuable information here. So if you click on reference letters, so they have a lot of information about the reference letters. So I think once you read through all of this, you should pretty much be on the right track to learn more about this process. So, so they have instructions there as well. And another good place to find information, if you have more questions about letter of reference, would be the frequently asked questions. So I find that this is true in a lot of cases, even with other fellowships. You want to take a look at the frequently asked questions, because they will definitely answer a lot of questions that you have about the process. And this is actually a sheet. So once you go through that information about letters of recommendation, you'll find a link to this sheet. And these are instructions for you to give to the individual that is writing the letter for you. And as you can see here, there's a line that says the ERA Commons username. So this is why you need to make sure you have that ERA Commons account so that you have a username. And then the FOA number, this can actually be found on the funding announcement on the first page. So you want to give all that to your letter writers. So now we're getting to at least 1 month before your deadline. The Office of Sponsor Research recommends you begin a little bit earlier than this. So, you can kind of figure out after you've talked to them, how early you need to start. Hopefully 3 months into the process, you will have notified them and begin a dialogue. So your proposal writing process should be nearing completion. About the end, it depends on the order or the way that you kind of want to do it. Some people wrote their proposal first and did the Office of Sponsor Research procedures later. So it really depends on you. So remember, this is just kind of a rough guideline, but you can pick the timeline that kind of fits with you. So you should be working with the Office of Sponsored Research official who will submit your application. And sorry. And you should ask them about the 3 remaining systems that you have to register for submission. And those 3 remaining systems would be the ORC ID, which is here, the e-disclosures, which is the conflict of interest, and I've missed one, sorry. The info ed comes first, and then the ORC ID, and then the e-disclosure. So that individuals who submitted the grants, they will tell you, they will give you all the information about what you're supposed to do and provide you a lot of guidance for this part of it. So just an overview of everything I've kind of discussed here. It was a lot of information. So I have here the key websites that you really need to visit to get you started. The first one is grants.nih.gov. So there's going to be a lot of information there about NIH, about the grant process. So you want to make sure you read through that. Also, the researchtraining.nih.gov. This is where you find information more specific to the funding mechanism that you're applying to. So you'll find all of your information about your F-series, your funding announcement, you'll find it there. The NIAID F31 writing samples and other resources that can also be helpful for you as you get started. And also the NU Office of Sponsored Research, more specifically the No Tears NRSA video that will help you become familiar with the Northwestern portion of the process. Documents you want to read would be the NIH F31 funding opportunity announcement. Once again, that's really going to be where you start, and also that SF424 R&R for the F-series, and that has a lot of information in it. So you want to read what's relevant to you. And definitely, I didn't include it here, but if your PI has submitted a grant to NIH, definitely reading that for guidance. It will really help you as you begin this process. So once again, this is an unofficial timeline. You can use this timeline or you can reshape it to fit where you are in your research. So you really want to begin your writing or begin collecting your data or putting everything together 6 months before, 3 months before. You definitely want to find that sponsored research official, let them know what deadline you're trying to hit so that you can begin registering for the different websites that you need to register in. ERA Commons is going to come first. As I mentioned, a lot of you may have an ERA Commons account, so it may just be a matter of figuring out how to log into it. 2 months before, you want to approach those letter writers and make sure that they have enough time to write the letter and submit it to NIH through the ERA Commons. And then at least 1 month before, if not earlier, you really want to be working with your sponsored research official to get everything submitted by the deadline that you selected. And like I said, this is not the timeline you have to follow. This is just one unofficial timeline, but you can rearrange and shift things to fit where you are in your research process. And I hope you enjoyed this presentation. And if you have any questions, you can definitely email me at the Office of Fellowships. And thank you for listening.